Hi everyone and welcome to this new speed build in The Sims 4, and today I'm building a tiny house in Sulani for Keoni and Lauri, who are two Sims from my Island Living series, because these two Sims have just discovered that they were expecting a baby, and they have been talking since then about moving in together to start their new life and raise their child together, so I thought that a tiny house would be perfect for them. And Keoni has the Child of the Islands trait, and since these Sims have a special link with the elementals and the spirits of the islands, I thought that Keoni would like to try and please the elementals by moving into a tiny house and try to reduce his footprint, or at least I think that's how you say it, and basically avoid polluting the island more than it already has, even though Marley, the main Sim kind of in that series, managed to get the island back to its former glory and make it thrive. So Keoni wants to avoid basically going back to where it was when Marley first got in Sulani earlier in the summer. Also, as you can guess, Marley was in the conservationist career, and ever since she arrived in Sulani, she's been raising awareness about the environment, and Keoni has been listening very carefully to what she said, and with his connection with the elementals, he wanted for his child to be raised in the same awareness and respect for the environment and the spirits of Sulani. So this house, as I said, is a tiny house, and it has one bedroom, which is going to be a 3x3 room that I'm going to turn into a nursery, although I think you can easily fit a single bed in it, as well as a dresser and a toy chest or even a desk. You will also find in the house a sleeping space, which is technically in the same room as the living and dining area, and you will also have a kitchen and a 2x3 bathroom with a bathtub in it. And there is also a deck at the back where the Sims will be able to lounge, relax, have some barbecues, and also jump in the water directly. This house also only uses items from the base game, Island Living and Tiny Living, so you won't need anything else to download it and place it in your game than these two packs. Although I would highly suggest turning on the Move Objects cheats because I have heavily used it in this house. But do not worry, I have played and tested this house and everything works perfectly and your Sims can move around very easily. I also tried to make this house fit within the 64 tiles range to make it a tiny house per se, but even though I tried playing around with the floor plan, this house ended up in the tier 3, so it's technically a small house, and it has I think 97 or 98 tiles, I don't remember exactly right now, which is way more than what I thought I would use to build this house, but it is still a tiny house and I'm really happy with how it turned out. But I still struggled a little with the roof, although I cut it out while editing this footage because I spent way more time than needed on it, and I also struggled with the landscaping, although there is no surprise there. And for once, I remembered to turn on the debug cheat, but I only used a couple of items from that menu in that house. I also tried to do what Sim Lucy had done in her tiny house that she had built in Sulani for a mermaid, where she landscaped the water, but it was a disaster, so you won't see any of it in this video. But right now I'm moving on to the interior, and I'm actually separating the sleeping space, which is actually going to be where Keoni and Lauri will be sleeping, with those dividers, those room dividers that came with Island Living, and I actually completely forgot about those until I saw them while building this house, and I remember that I really loved them when Island Living first came out, so I should think about using these more because they look really cool. And when it came to the color theme of the house, I actually based it off from the bed. I came across one of the swatches which was a little bit of a greenish tone, and I really liked it, so I tried to fit within this same color theme. But it's very warm inside, and I will also be using some of the photos that you can take underwater on the wall, and this will go pretty well with this kind of greenish tone also that I wanted to go with inside. And as you can see, I have used a lot of items from Island Living, so even though this build only uses items from Island Living and Tiny Living, I've heavily used items from Island Living because Keoni and Lauri, and especially Keoni, have been living on the island for years. Keoni also was born on the island, and he's very traditional. His father was also very traditional, so I wanted for this house to represent this very traditional aspect of Island Living and Sulani basically, so I tried to stay within this same style. And yet again, I wanted sometimes to use some other items from the other packs that came out for The Sims 4, and I also wanted to use a lot of items, especially from the Laundry Day stuff pack. But because I really wanted to stay within this, within these 2 packs, so Island Living and Tiny Living, I stopped myself from using those, so I think in the end I will not put any rug under the bed, but you will see me struggle to find a rug to put under the bed and also a rug to place in the living area. And recently I also stopped using rugs underneath my dining tables because I had a chat with a few friends with whom I talked about the idea of having a rug under a dining table, which is actually a very bad idea because you eat there and sometimes you can spill some food on the floor and it's just an accident. Maybe someone can cough or maybe just choke on their food and they will spit their food everywhere. And just imagine if there's a rug underneath the dining table and the rug is just ruined, and rugs are very expensive in real life, so having a rug underneath your dining table is technically not a very good idea. And even though in The Sims it doesn't really matter, I'd like to try and stay as realistic as possible while yet again staying within the idea of the game. But I decided not to put any rug underneath the dining table, and just having the rug in the living area kind of separates the 2 rooms. And so now I'm moving on to the kitchen, and I will actually spend way more time than I thought on this kitchen. And you will see that I will use a lot of move objects in here, and I was really worried that the stove would not be working, but in the end it works because it's technically in the way of the door. But these are the sliding door that came with Island Living, and I really like those. And in tiny houses, sliding doors are a very good idea and a very good space saver, so I really wanted to go with those. And I was worried that the door wouldn't be working because the counter is technically in the way, but the door does work and the stove also does work. So everything works perfectly, as I said, in this house. And I think this shelf that I just put here on the wall is going to be the only item that I will use from Tiny Living. And yeah, this kitchen is very basic. You can basically do everything you need in this kitchen. Just cook and wash the dishes and burn stuff on the stove, I don't know. But then, as you will see next, I will be moving on to the nursery, I think. And this nursery is very small, and I will of course be using the base game crib. You know, the crib that came with the base game. Although I think for the Let's Play, I will change the crib for the one that came with Realm of Magic, because I really like more this one than the base game one. It looks a bit more cozy and it's very cute. And even though I'm really mad at The Sims right now that the babies are still technically object and that they're stuck in their cribs, I'm actually glad that now we have a bit more choices when it comes to cribs. So apparently I'm not moving back right away to the nursery. I'm working onto the backyard, or kind of the front yard, I should say. And yet again, still not moving to the nursery. I really do not remember what I've built. Anyway, right now I'm working on the deck area, and this deck is actually really small, but I really wanted to have one, and as you can see, I've used also the arch that came with Island Living, and I really liked that idea that it was open to the water directly, and that it wasn't closed, if that makes any sense. I mean, I just said the same thing twice. Anyway, I'm a little bit tired, as you can guess right now. But yeah, I really liked that idea. I actually saw a picture on Twitter a while ago of someone who had built a very small little house. I think it was a shed or something in Sulani when Island Living first came out, and they used this arch to have an access from the inside to the outside, and the reverse as well. And I really liked that idea, so I took that inspiration from that photo, which I cannot find anymore on Twitter, otherwise I would have linked it in the description. But I really like that idea, and I think it makes the house not look as small, and you have this huge ocean just behind the house, which makes the house very big. And so now I'm actually working on the nursery, and this room is very, very small, but as I said, you can easily fit a dresser and a single bed, and also of course a toddler's bed. And even though it's a very small room, you can fit everything you need for a child in here. So yeah, when it comes to the decoration of this room, it's very basic. And I also came across this, how is it called, this swing set, and I thought that I needed to use it since in this house there's going to be a child. The child needs to have as many things to do as possible, and this child's parents have a lot of things to do already in the house, so I wanted for the child to be able to have also some activities, and that swing set was just perfect. And I was also imagining that maybe this swing set has been built by Keoni, And you know, Keoni, he's just all around a very family-oriented guy, and he loves his family, and he's, I think, very excited to be a father. So I thought that he would just build everything for his child, and now that I think of it, I could have placed maybe a woodworking table, but I can do that maybe during the Let's Play. But yeah, I'm actually almost done with the build. I'm just going to go into a few more details here and there. But if you like this house, you can of course download it on the gallery, and you will find all of the information in the description with a link to the online gallery, but you can also find it using my origin ID, which is Majam11 in-game. And yeah, I'm actually going to leave you here, so I really hope you enjoyed this video and that you will enjoy the rest of this video, and I will talk to you in the next one.